hot take on this is like there's no really what Allbirds is bringing here is a company shell and capital, right? They're not bringing any domain expertise that maybe I'm aware of. Maybe there's some domain expertise around supply chain and maybe manufacturing or industrial settings like that they're bringing, but they're not bringing AI specific expertise in terms of building this kind of neo cloud.
That's true.
The other thing is like approximately $50 million, although that's much more money than I can imagine generally, is very much a drop in the bucket in terms of the AI data center market. So part of my question is like, okay, like create your little data center. It is very much a drop in the bucket in terms of whether you look at like what China is spending on data centers or just like companies in the US investing billions of dollars in AI data centers. That maybe is the cynical take on this is like, okay, you have a little bit of this capital, you don't have the domain expertise in AI, and you're gonna spend $50 million on a little data center. How is that going to make a mark? And maybe part of it is like this is the foothold and more capital will be infused and they'll figure it out. And I don't wish them bad or anything. It's just more of a skeptical take.
Yeah, I mean, in another industry, that money would seem like quite a starter, but in this industry, where the availability of GPUs in the ecosystem is already quite strained based on the demand. And if you look at the fact that, kind of globally, there's basically half a dozen key players in the GPU ecosystem in terms of supply, as companies may pivot to this kind of business model, which is really NVIDIA, TSMC, AMD, Intel, Apple, and Qualcomm for the most part. And each of those is cranking out the types of chips in this capacity for AI purposes that they make. And so I'm just kind of I can't help wonder, but if this becomes a trend where you see a lot of companies that are struggling pivoting into that, what does that chip supply chain start looking like? It gets even more strained going forward. So this will be a really interesting kind of see if this turns into a trend to watch and see what happens with that.
Yeah, and one is the centralization and expansion of these very much centralized compute resources in data centers, which will grow. But there's also this push towards, I don't know if this was one of the trends that we talked about at the beginning of the year for 2026. It's certainly one of the trends that I'm thinking about in terms of the market in general, is this shift towards kind of physical or embedded AI, where AI is kind of living everywhere in a bunch of environments, whether that's like kiosks in a retail environment or actually on the manufacturing floor, not in a data center for a manufacturer. Of course, in phones, or we just had the conversation with Comma AI, who has AI in these devices that they're putting in cars to make them self-driving. So yeah, what is your take on this and how people could think about is it both are increasing simultaneously, like we'll just see more data centers and we'll see more physical AI, or is there a shift more towards that embedded edge-centric model versus kind of everything being centralized in data centers?